Hi everybody and welcome back. It's your girl Angelic Ray. We're gonna give it some time for people to come in. I want to share a download that I got. So if you're into like some of the mythos or you're into astrology, this is definitely the live that y'all want to catch, because I'm gonna share a little bit of a story time that led to a massive download and part of the mythos and what's going on astrologically in the skies right now. And this is actually going to be really important for moving forward. Hello, welcome. So I am going to be, there's a beautiful butterfly. I'm going to sit down, so give me a moment. And then, can you all hear me well? Please share this live. Hello, MJ Warrior. Hello, Melanie. Welcome. So I just want to make sure if you can hear me good and that the comment sections is working so I can get started, because this was a very interesting download. And the reason I feel very inclined to even share is because of astrologically what's going on. Okay, great. So yesterday was Saturday, right? And the reason this is important is because of the astrological events that's going to be going on. So yesterday I had an experience where, I don't know if y'all see the butterflies flying around me. That was a really, really big one. Anyway, I have this golden elephant that is adorned with, mirrors on it, and very, very beautiful. Okay. And this elephant had been in the same location for years. My dog walks past it all the time. Nothing, no problem, no nothing. Long story short with that was, I get a phone call and they tell me that the elephant had fell down and the head was separate from the body. So I was like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And they was like, yeah, I was in the room. I don't know. I heard a loud bang and I saw the elephant on the floor, and it wasn't even shattered. It was just literally the body was on one side and the head was on the other side. So I'm like, that's weird. So right away I go to clearing energy and, like, what is this, right? What's going on? And I get this download, and it's a mytho, it's a story. And it's in regards to like how Ganesha got his head. And why this is important will make more sense as we go deeper into the story, because of certain astrological events that's going to be coming up and things that's currently happening now. So the story I got, it made me chuckle. I heard this story a while ago. I don't even remember like when I heard it, but I know that I had heard it, and instantly it's what came to me. So I was like, okay, because like I instantly felt a connection. I was like, Ganesh and Shiva. Boom, start connecting. I get the story. And the story goes as to how Ganesh was created, how Ganesh got his head. So if you're interested in that, keep listening, right? If you want to get to the astrological event, be patient. So, and I'm a little bit sweaty because it's super duper hot out here, and I know I'm kind of like sidetracked, but I just kind of want to share this because this is where I felt inclined to, like, I'm surrounded by massive elephant ears and ginger. So yeah, but anyway, and a little beautiful little waterfall. But anyway, so Paveti, which is a different form of Shakti energy, the divine feminine energy. Paveti was married to Shiva, and Paveti and Shiva lived on the top of the Himalayan mountains, and Paveti a desire for a baby. And Shiva had been away from home. Peace, family, peace. So Shiva had been away from home, and I'm just, for those of you that's tuning in, I'm just getting started with the story. It's a download that I got. It's a mytho, but the download has to do with the astrological events that's coming up. So, all right. So Paveti is at home, and she had been desiring a baby for a while, and she was alone for a while Shiva was gone in his ventures with the Ganas. And he would go away for a bit, and he would come back home, and then when he would come home, he'll spend time with her, but he'll also do a lot of like time in isolation through meditation in a way. And so Paveti, the divine feminine energy, wanted to expand the family some more. And so she went, as she was home alone, she went to the earth, and she pulled some turmeric, and she made a clay out of the turmeric. And with the clay, she started to mold a baby boy, and to her liking. And so she's molding and sculpting this boy, and she loved what she created so much that she gave it the breath of life, and she spoke life into it. She created it to exist in the world. And she was so dirty with turmeric all over her, and like she was just dirty from making Ganesh. So she tells him to not let anyone into the home that is a stranger. Now, the little boy had never met Shiva before. And so as Paveti, the little boy's mother, goes and takes a shower, Shiva is coming home from his rituals, and as he's trying to enter the home, reminds me a little of Wonder Woman's story. So yeah, this is, you're gonna see this story in like many different mythos, right? But this is the way that it came to me. Like I remembered, because for those of you that just came in, I was talking about how I have an elephant, and the head fell, like a piece of it fell down, and the head fell in one spot and the body fell in another. And why this is important, because there's an astrological event that's in complete conjunction with this energy. So as I was meditating, I was reminded of this story. So Ganesh goes, and he's like trying to stop Shiva from entering the home. Very brave little boy, very warrior-like in a sense. And because he didn't know Shiva, he knew Shiva to be a stranger to him. And Paveti told him, his mother told him, not to let any strangers in the home while she takes a bath, while she showers. So Shiva, getting so angry, chops off the head of Ganesh, right? Was a little boy, right? He chops off the head of this little boy. Unbeknownst to him, that little boy was the creation of their child from Paveti. She wanted to give him the baby as a gift and stuff like that, but she didn't know Shiva was going to come home as soon as he did. And so Paveti hears all this ruckus, all this noise, and she comes rushing out of the bath, and she sees the little boy's head decapitated from the body and Shiva. And so she instantly, she gets fierce. And she also, because Paveti is very nurturing, Shiva doesn't, he knew if Paveti got angry, he knew he was in trouble, because Paveti was very nurturing, loving, and she was just that type of divine feminine Shakti energy. And so Paveti got really upset. She was devastated, and And in her grievance, she told Shiva, you gotta make this right. You're gonna have to fix this. I created him for us. That's our child. And so Shiva's like, don't worry, I'm going to fix this, right? I'm going to right my wrongs. And so he goes into the mountains, into the Himalayas, and he tells her that he's going to find a perfect head for the little boy. And as he's on his ritual, some of the stories say that he was looking for the first animal head to represent the head of the child. Others say that he was looking for the most magnificent head that he's seen in the animal kingdom that was fit for this baby, for this child, right? So nonetheless, he comes across the elephants, and he's watching the movement of the elephant and everything, and so he ends up taking the head of the elephant, right? So he decapitates the head, beheading, right? He cuts off the head from the elephant, and he comes back home, and he puts the head next to the little boy, which is Ganesh, and Parvati and him do the magic to put him back together again in a way. And so now he blesses the head, because the little boy was so brave to not even let Shiva into his own home. You know, Shiva's like, how dare you? I am Lord Shiva. This is my home. And the little boy was like, no, Mama Parvati said not to let nobody in, right? So he was already, gangster in the liking of Parvati. Parvati put him with that energy already. And so in honor of the masculine joining forces with the feminine's creation to right his wrongs, he gave Ganesh, with the elephant head, the blessing and the honor of intelligence, infinite wisdom, intelligence, the gift of removing obstacles, which was already in relation to the gift that Parvati had gave him when she told him not to let any strangers in, right? So a protective energy, wisdom, right? For discernment, for proper discernment. And he even gave him rights over the Ganas, right? And so this is where the name, like Ganapati, I did not know this story. I was just looking up Shiva earlier today. Well, look at that, right? And so, there's a is that a sparrow? No way. I have not seen that bird before. There's I'm surrounded by beautiful nature. So, and there's a lot of interesting birds that come around here. But, yes. So, Shiva, he's known for his fiery rage of destruction in a sense, right? And so, but with good purpose at times, right? So anyways, he gives him this gift. And so because Ganesh was not born as an actual human, just in the liking of a human, and holds the head of an elephant and had been granted multiple gifts and abilities, his name kind of changed from Ganesh to Ganapati, right? Ganapataye, and etc. He's known by multiple names. And Ganesh, being an obstacle remover, a protector, and the leader of the Ganas of the spirit realm, he's known as like a gatekeeper, road opener, very mercurial energy. He also represents infinite wisdom and intelligence, and so communication and etc. So we have Mercury in retrograde at this time. And Mercury is getting ready to station direct on June 3rd. Now, like I told you in the beginning of this video, This happened to me yesterday, which is a Saturday. So why is this important? Some people like to connect Shiva with Saturn energy as well, right? So it depends, everybody, you know, on your beliefs and your tradition. But in some traditions, Shiva will be held in honor on Saturdays. And so I get this phone call that my elephant's head is separate from the body. And like I said, I went into meditation. I'm like, what is this? And boom, the download came. And sure enough, I was like, oh, I remember hearing that story a long time ago. And I said, well, what does this mean? So Mercury is getting station direct on June 3rd. And on June 3rd, it will be squaring Saturn. Not only is it going to be squaring Saturn, but it is going to be in direct conjunction with Algor. Algor is a star. It's a fixed star in the sky that is known, some people call it like the evil star. It's known as like an evil star. And it's not necessarily that it's so evil, but it's very problematic. But others call it the star of the beheading. It's the beheaded star. The energy that it comes with comes, you know, you may have heard stories or mythos with like Medusa, right? Chopping off the head, Kalima, chopping off the head, etc. And these are like quote unquote demons, right? That people would call them quote unquote demons. And so this star is connected with all the evils and the demons. And astrologically, those that study astrology know this star to be very problematical. Saturday is the day of the dead and ancestors, yes. And so we're talking about the Ganas, right, in the spirit realm, you know, that makes sense, right? And mercurial energy. And so Mercury is going to be in conjunction, meaning together in the same placement with this star of beheading, which is why the news that I got of the beheading right away, Ganesh and Shiva was like, no, like I'm still protected and everything like that. But this is, it happened so that I can receive the message to share to others of this astrological event. So a lot of you may have been getting a lot of messages that are very motivating to you, and you're wanting to push forward. You're really excited to charge this energy up with your actions, right? We have Mars and Venus both in Aries, right? Why this is important? This is Paveti and Shiva, it both at home, right? Like, well, not home completely, right? But I'm just using it as an analogy because it was when they're together in the same sign, right? Mars is at home, right? So Shiva's like, I'm coming back home. Aries is connected with Mars. Mars energy is known as a separation energy, right? So this download is multi-layered, so bear with me. This has a lot to do with couples. This has a lot to do with separation. This has a lot to do with motivations, goals, and the ego, and off with the heads, right? Quite this energy astrologically is not only metaphorical, but is also known quite literal. Okay. And so even though like people have said, yeah, the butterflies around, people have said that this energy, that star system is so strong that it has literally created, whenever it is closest to the skies, to the earth, or has any influence with the earth, it has literally created a beheading. And some even say like the beheading of like the dragon's head, right? So it has multiple different mythos of this energy, right? And we know that these mythos were created, these stories were created to let us know what's going on astrologically. So because it was at a time when the obstacle remover was trying to remove obstacles, aka prevent a situation from happening, its intelligence of what it knew at the time with the human brain as opposed to, with the human head as opposed to the elephant head, where it grew deeper understanding due to the gift that Shiva had put into it with firmer direction. What happened was Ganesh was so motivated, so charged. He had a goal. He had a task. His goal was to keep strangers away from the home. And so he was charging that task. But in charging that task, he didn't ask questions. He didn't allow himself a deeper understanding. All he knew was in the sights of his goal, this was a stranger. And so he got his head cut off. Because the stranger was like, this is my domain. This is my house. Like, you're not going to come into my house acting like you know and you run shit here in my house. So this is like what your goals are going to be kind of telling you at this time, or perhaps certain circumstances or situations will be occurring where it's going to be very important for you to take the time to properly navigate what it is that you want to be moving into, as opposed to just taking the action. Of course, be in the energy of motivation and no fear, right? But again, because it is a square, it's a square with Saturn, and Saturn has a lot to do with karma. This is going to have a lot to do with karma having to repair itself as well in ways that you may not necessarily have the awareness of, right? So what do I mean by that? There's going to be a lot of ego busting, okay? Literally and figuratively, all right? The ego is going to be getting hit because there is a karmic healing that needs to be done, right? However, this energy, because it's known to come from like the quote unquote like demon side, is going to be very challenging. Meaning, aka, you're not gonna like how this looks, okay? So, if you were feeling a lot of motivation and you were seeing a lot of green lights towards your goals, that is a beautiful thing. This is telling you, yes, you're in the right direction. However, you might want to pace yourself in that direction and be observant of everything that is in your surrounding. So more now than ever, it is important to know your own energy as well as the energy of your surroundings, right? So that was one of the tips. The other tip is making sure maybe you take your time with the actions of your goal and acting on it later, as far as the actual task. Till like after maybe like June 6th or so, right? Just to give it some time to process the beheading and allow for you to be in the mind of the elephant, which is also the obstacle remover. The mind of the elephant that is all knowing, that has infinite wisdom. The head of the elephant that removes the obstacles and has clear communication and directions with the ganas of the spirit realm, right? AKA your ancestors, right? AKA connections, divine connections with God, right? During June 3rd, this beheading, things may appear as they not, because Shiva was not a stranger. So that was the illusion of the what the ego thought it was serving a good purpose, and it was moving in action in a way that was actually going to be detrimental to the boy, right? Which is no longer a regular boy, is Ganapanti, right? Which is okay. It happens. But this is also a rebirth, right? A coming to new, a coming to a transition, a coming to a different frequency, an elevation, an ascension. But with ascension must come death, right? Again, Saturday, a day associated with death and the ancestors, right? And so this is why this was the download. And I was like, oh my God. And it's so funny. So for those of you that have been feeling a strong connection with Ganesh and feeling a strong connection with Shiva, this will be a great time to do mantra work, energy work in connection with them. Maybe renovate if you're into that. It's not necessary, right? So for those of you that's maybe not into like the Hindu tradition and stuff like that, that's okay. Astrologically, how does this make sense? Well, Mercury's going to be stationed going direct, meaning it's going to be still in that moment, right? Like the boy was still. It's not really, it's getting ready to move forward. Take this time. Not only are you knowing the energies around you, not only are you preparing, take this time to rest if you need to rest. Take this time to make sure you're looking at your goals appropriately. And once it is stationed, once it is moving direct, I keep getting like June 6th. So maybe like around June 6th. I think June 6th is a Monday also. So like Mondays and Wednesdays are like connected with Ganesh anyway. So Monday, and also the moon is the mind, right? So the higher minds, as stated, right? With the mind that it was not only blessed with the creation of life and of Paveti, of Shakti energy, the divine feminine energy, but also with the mind of the masculine. And we have both the masculine and feminine energies in Aries. So your goals are going to be tackled, but it's going to come with some challenges that might seem as if it's appearing to separate you from your goals. The only time it is a true separation is if it is in direct disalignment, right? Meaning it's not with it's in alignment with your beheading, but it's not in the alignment with your what's the proper word I wanna say, like recovery, or even like putting back together, resurrection in a sense, right? For those of you like into Kemet, right? It wasn't necessarily a full beheading, but he was chopped up into pieces, right? So this is also saying that there is going to be a lot of revelations to places that you've been stuck, a better version of yourself, yeah, where you've been stuck in some stubbornness, stuck in some ways. Really take the time to learn anything it is that you need to learn before just taking action and jumping into it. That's the main message, is making sure you are taking time to learn everything that you need to learn in regards to the task at hand. What I'm also getting is that for twin flames, for those of you that believe in the twin flames or has a twin flame, and I don't believe that everybody has a twin flame, and it is what it is. You could say whatever you think, it is what it is. I'm just going from based on my experiences and the channels that I've received with that, right? There has been a big energy that seems as if it's a lot of separation that has been going on, or a need for the feminine to be nurturing herself and creating certain things in a certain aspect, while the masculine is really just wanting to be in direct alignment with himself, right? So the masculine coming home, Shiva coming home because him and Paveti, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, wants the same thing for the home, for the spirit, for the temple, for God, for goddess, for the most high energy, the androgynous being, and the home being the temple, the body, right? So both of these energies coming home, they want the same, Shiva coming home and Paveti nurturing herself, washing herself. She's cleansing, right? She now allowed herself to birth something into creation. However, the mother, the earth, is shifting and trying to create a beautiful world in which man, sometimes in his anger and in his ego or in resentment or in his control, wanting to control certain situations, kind of gets in the way of like how that creation can look and be. And so this is going to be a time when possibly, couples may want to separate and argue, and it's like, really, is this the proper time? Is this really what it is? And in some cases, it is exactly that. It is for the separation, because they may have been staying in this relationship due to ego stroking, and it's time to cut off the head, like the head of the ego, and be in the head of the higher self, to have the proper head of the household being in charge, right, if you will. I know I'm kind of all over the place, so please take what resonates, leave behind what doesn't. What this is also saying is that there's going to be a lot of unions that was in separation during this eclipse season, during this retrograde, right? Because eclipses, meaning there's, eclipses, that eye, right? The decapitation of the eye, in which got blindsided, things that you can't quite see, right? But that are there. And it's okay. There was a lot of revelations that came during this eclipse season. And there's going to be more revelation, and it's gonna seem a little bit chaotic before it's in its proper foundation, but this is a good thing, okay? If you are seeing problems occur in certain areas of your life, take heed. How can you go into meditation and find your solutions with the wisdom of your higher self and your spiritual counsel, okay? Allow spirit to take the lead. Don't just, yes, spirit is saying take leaps of faith in certain areas, but also pace yourself, right? Because a lot of the actions might backfire later, and you want to keep it in a good flow. Why this is important about your environment. I'm going to get back to the twin flames. I didn't lose. It's still there. Being aware of your environments and being in an environment that is healthy for your mind, healthy for your body, healthy for your spirit is vital at this time, because of the energies that we are moving forward with is going to last for months, if not even years. Okay, we are definitely in a different space, and I know this sounds very cliche. However, if you are around surroundings that are toxic, they are going to seep that energy into your goals, and it's going to be more problematical. If you are eating in a way that is not nourishing your body, I highly recommend a detox. Temporarily detox yourself. You will love yourself better, because the way that things are moving, it's going to be very important that your mind, your body, and your spirit are all in alignment with your good health. Okay? Invoking your highest self. I just wrote it down yesterday. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's something that, we do it in different ways, and we should always be doing. But like as stated, during this time more than ever, especially June 3rd, if you have to do something June 3rd, pay attention to what is happening on June 3rd. Okay? Journal. Write it down. Even if you think it's not important, write it down. June 3rd is the day that you want to be documenting your experience. Okay? Excuse me. So coming back to the twin flames, for those of you that have been in separation for quite some time, or have been experiencing a temporary separation, an illusion of a separation, the masculine is now joining the feminine in this way, that again, and it's gonna bring a lot of clarity, and it's actually going to bring y'all into wholeness and oneness. So there's going to be another group of twin flames that are activated and coming into union. Okay, So you're gonna be experiencing more downloads and people talking about twin flames. Even though it gets some people, it annoys them, right? But more couples that's actually in direct alignment with their higher selves that's gonna be together. So even if it's not twin flames, this also applies to couples in general, like soulmates that are in direct alignment to harmonize and energize with each other are going to be in union. They're going to come into union. I would say they will be coming into union after June 3rd, more when Mercury is direct, and after the shadow phase you're going to see it the most. And I would say after Mercury's shadow phase of going direct, and after the shadow phase, a lot post shadow, right? That is when you want to take action towards your goals. All right. Of course, everybody's circumstances is different, and so knowing your chart or connecting and seeing that can definitely, if you need to book a one-on-one, you can book a one-on-one with me and we can go into more personalized details for you. But overall, in general, that's what we're going to be seeing. Unions coming together after a long period of separation. Also, corporations, because of Saturn energy, right? Saturn does represent the corporations as well. There is going to be a beheading of a lot of CEOs no longer being in. You've seen it happen a few years ago. You're going to see this again. Government wise, and there's also been a lot of talk, sovereignty talk during this time, which is why it's mindful to know who's the head of the house and doing your studies and taking proper action once you gathered all the proper preparations you need for that actions. Proper preparations for you to take action, the proper action and needed. Otherwise, you are just going to be taking proper actions with not proper preparation, and it can backfire on you and you can experience a beheading. Okay, which is going to lead you to have to do it all over again, which, hey, every experience is a lesson to learn, right? So you don't lose anything, but in some cases, some people, unfortunately, they do end up losing their life because they move impulsively and not really taking the time to consciously think about how their actions is going to bring them forward. Yes, that can sound very egotistical because it's about consciousness and it's about discernment. But this is why the elephant head had the gift of discernment in a non-egotistical way and was able to remove the obstacles and the ways of bringing solutions to the forefront because it was in direct connection with the spirit realm, as opposed to the human head that it had was the egotistical discernment. There's a difference. There is a difference. Okay? This is also saying your intuition is going to be wanting to guide you. Take heed, listen to your heart. Your heart will be the mind that's going to be keeping you moving and impassioned and alive during this time. Corporations, you're going to see more tanking so that the proper alignments of that which is for the highest good cosmically will start to get in order. Okay, so this is a universal cosmic shift, not just a shift on earth, okay, and not just a shift with the human minds. Okay, so that is the message, that is the download. Does anybody have any questions? I think I got it all out there. I do need some water. Drink a lot of water. With all this Aries energy, this stellium, this fire energy, it looks a lot like, if we had to go back to ancient Kemet, what people call Egypt, Ra, right? How Set and the Ra set, right? The Ra set, the reset, the Ra set. And how Set you know, cut Ra into many different pieces. You're welcome. Cut him into many different pieces. Well, if you look at Chiron, Chiron is the tail, the dragon's tail, right? And you look at this star being connected with the demons. This is where it's formed. Because it's demons, this is because this war is gonna be intense. And that's where it can seem problematical. For example, you know, a lot of people that are familiar with Kali, they'll say, you know, like, oh, some will say that she's a demon, and her energy though is very purifying, but is very harsh, or a Sekhmet, right? Very harsh. These beings of war, they cut in a way that is very harsh but necessary. Harsh but necessary. And that's where it can seem problematic to those that, you know, they like things to be done easily. And yes, it's going to get easy, but sometimes it has to get rough before it gets easy. So it's, when you see that, know that yes, if you're still getting green lights, you're in the right direction. You know, that's just the level up. You know, it's the preparation for you to really take action once you level up. You know, and that's where, you know, if you see the dragon chopped up in pieces, or the ego, you know, or the demon heads. So buckle up. Buckle up. I could also see how there can be an increase of like tickets, or you know, even possibly police brutalities and stuff like that during this time. So you really want to be mindful of the energies that you're around and the environment you're around. If you know you got to go into an environment that's not really nurturing to your soul, to your spirit, ask yourself, do I really need to be, is it necessary for me to be there on this day? If it is not necessary for you to be there on that day, take the heed, take the warning, and save yourself, right? Ain't nobody gonna be able to save you if you consciously putting yourself into situations that you don't need to be. Perhaps you know, go another day, or do it another day. And again, this goes into like, you know, putting toxins in your body and stuff like that. Just because the consequences are gonna be in a way that a lot more vital, to say the least. This is a sparrow. Can I show y'all? Oh my god, he's walking towards me. Can y'all see him? Oh, he flew. So this is my environment. This is where I had been talking to all of you. I thank you all for tuning in and listening. I'm going to end it here. I feel like I got all the messages out that I needed to get. If I get more downloads, I will share it. Peace, y'all.